Bitcoin, Ethereum, you know the drill. Lost it all but came back with the skill.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Holding Crypto channel. It's still Monday, March 17th, 2025. Currently it's 7:20 p.m. We're going to take stock of the XRP cryptocurrency, which is regaining a little bit of strength. We're going to look together at what's happening. Can we continue to rise? In short, we're making ourselves comfortable and starting this video. We still have XRP, which has regained, what day was it? It was here, it was March 14th, so Friday, and well, in fact, XRP managed to recover the downtrend line, and that, it seems, is still very good news. So most beginners don't understand. In fact, they say to themselves, no, but you say it's good news, but look, we're falling, and that's precisely the scenario we mentioned, remember in my video, well, the last video on XRP, we mentioned the fact that, of course, this downtrend line was a resistance, but we especially mentioned the fact that if we break this line, of course, we can push. But as I say all the time in each of my videos, without exception, when we break a key level, we come back to retest this key level. So you have to understand what's happening. When we break a key level, of course, we have a break. So in general, it's an upward break, so it's to push. But you have to understand that to validate a breakout, it needs to be retested. Look, here's a perfect example. With the green candlestick here, we had a breakout of several key levels. Well, actually, look, we broke a key level here, which was 2.3771. We had broken the moving average ribbon. We had broken the range from above. What happened? We came back to retest all the resistances we broke. We retested the top of the range. We retested the moving average ribbon. We retested the downtrend line we had broken. And in the end, we closed where? Just above the 2.3771 support zone. So this kind of scenario happens all the time. Now, what you have to understand is that, yes, it's very good news to have managed to break the downtrend line. And so now, as you can see, this line is no longer resistance since we're above it, but now it's turning into support. And that's where it's very good news. Now, as you can see, we're coming back to retest this line in the form of support. So we're relying on it to rebound, whereas until now, we were being rejected by this line. Well, now, since we've conquered it, this line allows us to rebound off it instead of doing the opposite, instead of being rejected and falling even further. So obviously, as you can see in this case, as long as we're above this line, well, now we've resumed an interesting little configuration. Now, is that it? Is it good? Is it to the moon? Certainly not. Why am I telling you this? Because right now, remember, this resistance zone right here, it's 2.3771. Well, in reality, it's a key level that we've been playing around with for quite some time. And if each time we've tried to reclaim it, we've lost it. We've tried to reclaim it, we've lost it. It's the key level that we absolutely must reclaim. As you can see, we're currently below it. So that, unfortunately, is what's preventing us from having a nice upward push. Now, what we want is to recover this resistance. Of course, that would still be excellent news after recovering the downtrend line. Recovering this resistance, that would really be excellent news. And just above the head, we see here that we have the top of the moving average ribbon. You see it, this little line that is there, 2.4349 comma, it is the top of the ribbon. So what does that mean? That is to say that if we break the line that I told you about, plus the top of the moving average ribbon, that means that clearly above our head, we would not have much left between this key level and the next major resistance, which is located here at 2.6044. So that's where it would be interesting, is if we really manage to form this pattern. So we'll see what happens. Once again, we don't have a crystal ball, so we can't know. We can just lay out the different types of possible scenarios on the table. That way we're ready. It allows us to anticipate as much as possible. Now, even if we lay out the scenarios on the table, if in the afternoon, for example, Bitcoin starts to fall, you understand XRP, like all the other cryptocurrencies on the market, will obviously plummet the very second Bitcoin starts to crash. But for now, we're still in the grip of this nice little bullish divergence on XRP's side. So for now, this divergence has allowed us to reclaim the downtrend line. And now, to validate all this, we have no choice because it's not a done deal. I remind you that really, for us to feel safe, we need to go back now here too, above the top of the range at 2.64 comma, I think. That's it. Now this is the next key level that we'll need to reclaim if we want to feel much more secure. Now, for those in the know, we are, it must be said, in an interesting structure for our cryptocurrency XRP. We are in a structure, so you'll see it better that way. You'll see it better from a long-term perspective. Of course, we must remember that from a slightly longer-term perspective for XRP, well, we have a head and shoulders pattern. So this pattern hasn't been validated. Fortunately, if it is validated, we know it's a bearish chart pattern. But well, for now, it hasn't been validated. So all the better, given that it hasn't been validated, we're not taking it into account today. It could indeed be taken into account in the coming weeks if it's validated, but for now, that's not the case, so all the better. Now, given that this chart pattern hasn't been validated, well, it should still be noted that, in reality, we can see a certain form of bull flag in it. I'll explain this type of pattern because it's a bullish pattern, but you have to understand how it works. You can see it here, so we have this bull flag. Here we have an incoming movement that is a bullish movement. Yes, okay, it's true. We have a head and shoulders pattern. It's there. We can't deny it. It's definitely there. But we also have the incoming movement, which is bullish, the retracement like this. And generally, in terms of probability, this type of pattern, if the head and shoulders pattern doesn't validate, well, this type of pattern has a greater tendency to break upwards to extend the incoming movement. So, given that our incoming movement is bullish, if the head and shoulders pattern doesn't validate, well, that would increase the probability of validating our bull flag and perhaps, why not, in the coming weeks, moving up to seek higher points. Anyway, we know that it's this blue line that we're going to have to break. So there today still, it must be noted, but we are still not very far. It is 2.4236, so that will be interesting, because still, if we manage to validate this pattern, then we can see an XRP in the coming weeks, coming months, return to look for 3.4996. Why not 3.5 or 3.8? We can go for $4, $4.50, and even potentially $5. The $5 will be possible if we manage to break this bearish trend line, which will be, in quotation marks, the resistance of the bull flag. And if we manage to break the last high point at 3.3396, if we break these two key levels, then yes, that can significantly increase the chances of reaching $5 on XRP. But for now, we're still a long way from that. There's still a lot of work to be done, and above all, it depends entirely on Bitcoin. But what's happening with this cryptocurrency could get interesting. That's why I follow it regularly on my YouTube channel. Don't hesitate to subscribe to receive regular videos on XRP. Now, we must also say one thing, which is that from a slightly longer term point of view, it is still there. We must still be wary, because even if indeed we saw it earlier, the XRP can go up, can, in the coming weeks, coming months, perhaps reach $4, $5, perhaps indeed it is a probability. There is still an interesting probability to do this scenario, but we must still note one important thing, and I had already spoken to you about this, is that in the long-term view, we still have, unfortunately, a bearish divergence. And this, we must really be wary of this divergence on the other hand in the long term. So earlier I was talking to you about the short and medium term view. Here I am talking to you about the long term view. So there, indeed, on the side of this bearish divergence, it is still there. It is still threatening. That's why the scenario, anyway, of the head and shoulders, I talked about it. I didn't say that it is validated for the moment, but I talked about it. But we must still keep it in a corner of our mind. We have the head and shoulders. We have the bull flag on the other hand, which can make us go up. So still, let's be careful, because there is still this bearish divergence from a long-term point of view. We are still on a momentum controlled by the bears, even if for the moment it is not too serious. So it's okay, it holds, but we must still be wary, given that there, with this type of scenario, if ever we validate the head and shoulders, yes, it could indeed be very dangerous. So for the moment, this is not the case, and so much the better anyway. If we approach the dangerous key levels, obviously, on my YouTube channel, I will make videos to keep you informed. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, don't hesitate to like, comment, share as much as possible. You know, it greatly contributes to the SEO of my YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe to receive every day 1, 2 to 3 videos concerning Bitcoin and altcoins. I wish you a good day. I'll see you later.
Bitcoin, Ethereum, you know the drill. Lost it all but came back with the skill.